What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers are going to have their hands full today. They are at home, but they are going to be taking on the Golden State Warriors, who, yes, the Lakers have beaten the last two times, but without Steph. This time, they're going to have to play a Steph Curry-led Warriors, who are very hot right now. The last loss, I believe, is to us, and they've won 5 straight games since. They're currently in the 5th seed. We are 4 games behind the Warriors, who they've really played really good basketball as of late. Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, everybody, Draymond, everyone's really playing at such a high level. Kuminga has really stepped up for them as well. And of course, once Steph gets there, that's just another problem to have. But nonetheless, that is a winnable game. I still believe the Lakers can get the job done. I still think we match up well. Steph, hopefully, isn't unhuman, right? He's just getting back. Hopefully, he not just playing heroics. Hopefully, he's relatively pedestrian for what he is. A lot of questions, of course, about just returning to your first game. How are you going to play? Is he going to shoot well? What's going to happen? But he is Steph Curry, so definitely an issue. Now, the Lakers are going to be without D'Angelo Russell, who has played very well against the Warriors both games. They've had a hard time kind of slowing him down, and he's been really able to just kind of make plays for this team. And this was where it got hurt, right? So it's tough because it would have been nice to kind of have him come back, kind of get that revenge game. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that. D'Lo is expected to be out. Hopefully, he is back for the Memphis game because we really could use him for that game. We could really use him tonight because it's kind of an all-hands-on-deck. The Lakers right now are a game out of the play-in. They are right there behind the Pelicans and Jazz for the 9th and 10th spot. And we're only 2 games behind the Clippers for that 8th seed. And now we're 3 games behind the Timberwolves and the Mavs for that 6-7 spot. But the Timberwolves, they have the tiebreaker now. So if we finish with the same record, that's going to be a real problem. But Timberwolves have been hot as well. They have won some games. They even beat Sacramento on the road. So they've beaten the Clippers, the Lakers, and Sacramento on this little trip. So they're playing really good basketball as well. Mavericks are we'll see what happens with them. But D'Lo needs to return sooner rather than later. But beyond that, still have Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis needs to come out. He needs to dominate the game of basketball. We know what he can do. We know what he is capable of. We know that the Warriors don't have anyone that can really stop him or slow him down, especially if he's being aggressive, he's being physical, and he's playing the game the way that we know he can. He scored 38 in the last game, and we still lost. And that's not on him. Guys need to step up. It's just that simple, right? We need to have guys show up and play the game of basketball. Come in and do their job. Be physical, play some defense, make some shots, play some team game, right? Let's share the ball. Let's swing the ball. Let's get things going, right? When you see the ball moving and you see us just kind of cruising, that's when we are playing the best kind of basketball, right? We were averaging 30 assists a game at one point. That's what we need to get to. The Timberwolves game, for a great example, we only had 23 assists. That's a game where, you get your assist total up, you probably make some more shots. Took a lot of tough shots. We were struggling. But, hey, we got to brush it off. We lost to the Timberwolves. That was a huge game. In my opinion, that was probably the toughest loss of the season just because of where we would be right now if it was for that win. But, again, can't worry about that. Got to move on. Got to move forward. Brush that off. Let's get to the next game. We need to see an Anthony Davis dominate the Warriors. If we get this win, that would be absolutely huge at home. And then Tuesday, we play the Memphis Grizzlies at home. And they won't have Ja Morant, Brandon Clark, and we'll see what happens with Dylan Brooks, right? That guy, he could end up getting thrown out of a game. He's an emotional wreck right now, right? He's suspended as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that game shapes up. That's a game that I think is very winnable, especially if we get D'Lo back. Again, would have been nice for the Warriors game, but hey, it is what it is. We're going to need Dennis Schroeder to figure it out, right? We needed Dennis Schroeder in that Minnesota game. It was just one of those games that just felt like if we just had one guy step up, just one guy play better, that was a game that we could have won. And I was really looking for Dennis Schroeder, and unfortunately, he had a rough game. Now, Darvin Ham has said that he's fine, that his ankle has been okay, But if you watch that Minnesota game, he wasn't right. Like everything was short. He just seemed to really struggle. He seemed to not have that explosiveness and that pull up. Like it seemed like he didn't have the spring that he usually has when he's shooting his shot. Not that he's like a great shooter by any means, but still, everything just kind of seemed to be short. And that's usually a sign of the ankle injury. And he did. I mean, he rolled his ankle pretty good the previous game. So my hope is that he's not having too many effects, and I'm hoping that maybe he could brush it off and kind of get back at it against the Warriors, because he's a guy that can really punish these Golden State Warriors. They don't like Steph isn't going to be able to guard Schroeder, and this is a game that Schroeder should be able to feast, right? Jordan Poole ain't guarding Schroeder. Like Schroeder should be able to get what he wants against these Warriors. Him and D'Lo really did a good job the past 2 games against the Warriors, and I really need to see him step up, right? We need Dennis Schroeder to be that guy, to be that lead guard, to step in and just be consistent. That's the problem. Consistency is key with this Lakers team. Granted, this is a team that just got put together. I get that, and they're still building chemistry. They're trying to expedite something that takes an entire season they're trying to do in 25 games. So I do get that. I do understand that. But Dennis Schroeder has been here from day one. He knows what he needs to do. He's had most of his big games with LeBron and AD out. So he needs to continue to do that and just provide that spark for this Lakers team. Malik Beasley, we need him badly, right? He's a guy, he was the second leading scorer with 15 points, so can't really knock him too much for the last game, but we need him to stay that way. He was 3 of 6 from 3. We need that again. 5 of 11 overall. He also had 8 rebounds, which is crazy because he was our leading rebounder. But again, we need that. We need that from him. We need him to have just a solid shooting game. Doesn't necessarily have to be lights out. It'd be nice if he could go, 8 for 11 or something crazy like that. I am all for it. Let's get it. But realistically, just do what you've been doing. Give us 3, 4, 5 threes. Play some solid defense, get some rebounds, just kind of help us create and run that offense. Get yourself open, run those plays, runs those sets. And I do think that he could have a real impact. Again, it's about guys stepping up. We need these guys to step up. Jared Vanderbilt, he's been great. I mean, even the last game against the Timberwolves, he was doing a great job on Anthony Edwards. I mean, Anthony Edwards yesterday had like 27 points, something like that, and just played tremendously. Anthony Edwards only had 19 points. He was 7 of 16 from the field, which is like, 45%. So Edwards didn't have like a poor game, but he made things difficult, right? He kept Edwards reasonable. Edwards didn't go and have, a 27, 30-point game. So Vanderbilt is that guy that's really flexible. I don't know if they'll put him on Steph early on. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably kind of just like let the game play out a little bit, see where you're at, and then kind of utilize that in the fourth quarter. Especially if Steph starts getting hot. If he does, then maybe move Vanderbilt to Steph and just say, hey, you're going to stick to him like glue and just have him kind of chase Steph around all game, which can be exhausting in and of itself. But I do think that he's a guy that's capable of that. If he can provide that, he can do that, especially come fourth quarter. Again, you're never going to stop Steph Curry. But can he just make things difficult with his size, with his length, just being able to close out? But to me, it's just who has the hot hand. If Klay Thompson is shooting the lights out, put Vanderbilt on Klay Thompson. If it's Jordan Poole, put Vanderbilt on Jordan Poole. That's the beauty of Jared Vanderbilt and his ability to guard multiple positions and play multiple positions. Like Vanderbilt is he's our X factor. He's the ace in the hole. He's the one that is going to have that tough defensive assignment night in and night out, but he's capable of it, and he has shown that. He's made things very difficult for every matchup that he's played. Whether it was Luka or Brandon Ingram or, Ja Morant at times. We saw him again with Anthony Edwards. Like all of those things I think are really huge, and his defensive impact is great. So the Warriors are going to be shooting around the perimeter. We're going to need to size up. We're going to need to man up. We're going to have to play some tough basketball. And Jared Vanderbilt needs to be that guy to kind of lead the charge on the defensive end, along with Anthony Davis, of course. But, in general, again, this is a game that I really do believe the Lakers can win. If we get this win and we get this done, then one, we have the tiebreaker over the Warriors because we'd be up 3-1 against the Warriors, so that would be huge. Two, that would put us, 31-34 heading into that Memphis game, which I do believe we should win. And then all of a sudden, we're 32-34, and we're right there, right? Now, all of a sudden, we may end up being in a play-in spot at that point. If we're 32-34, we could be right there, or at least tied for that 9-10 spot, maybe even that 8th spot. Although I believe the Clippers play the Grizzlies today, so they probably get that win, which would put them at 33-34. But still, we'd only be like a game behind the Clippers. So that could be absolutely huge for us. The Thunder play the Jazz. We need the Thunder to beat the Jazz. That would be beautiful. The Magic play the Blazers. Need the Magic to beat the Blazers. All of these teams. The Suns, right? We need the Suns to smack the Mavericks. That would help a lot. Get them to 32 losses. And then all of a sudden, if we get the win, we're right back in the hunt. It would have been nice to get the Memphis game. Didn't happen. Or the Minnesota game. Didn't happen. But hey, dust it off. Brush it off. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get this win today. And it's going to start with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is going to have to lead the charge, but it can't just be on him. I've mentioned this before, and this is why I talk about stats. We've had this conversation on this channel, right? I would rather AD go get 15 points and we win the game than him go get 40 and we lose. I've talked about it time and time again. How many times have we seen Anthony Davis or LeBron James go get 30, 40 points, and we lose that game outright, right? But you see the game, right? The two Warriors games, Anthony Davis had 13 points and 12 points. And then that other game, LeBron only had 12 points or 13 points, something like that, right? So, if that's the kind of game that we have, and Anthony Davis is just dominating the defensive end, and, he gets 15 points and everyone shows up, everyone chimes in, and we get the W, I'm all for it. I don't care, right? I don't need Anthony Davis to go give us 30 and 20 every single night. It just, what is the team providing? Against Minnesota, we needed Anthony Davis to get all 38 points just to stay in the game. And then on top of that, we needed somebody else to step up, and nobody stepped up, and that was a real problem. We can't have that against the Warriors. We cannot drop this game. If we lose this game, it's not the end of the world, but it just makes things so tough. It really does. It's just, the hole and the margin for error is just shrinking, and it's shrinking fast. We have 18 games left, counting this Warriors game, and we need at least, bare minimum, we need 11 of them, 10 of them maybe. I do believe we at least get to that 9th or 10th seed. I do, because Utah, they're pretty much tanking now. So I see them continuing to drop. But here's the problem, is that if we're not in that 7-8 spot, that's going to be tough, because we got to win 2 straight games. And right now, if you look at it, very likely we'd be playing the Pelicans in the first round of that play-in. And let's say we beat the Pelicans, we could be playing the Clippers or the Timberwolves, or maybe even the Magic, or the Mavericks. Right? That's all 3 of those teams could realistically beat us. Now, if we're fully healthy with D'Lo, LeBron, and AD, I do think we could beat definitely the Mavs and the Timberwolves. But for whatever reason, the Clippers always seem to have our number. So we need to get into that 7-8 spot, because at least if we get there, say we play the Clippers and we lose. Okay, well then now we're playing the Pelicans or the Timberwolves, or let's say the Mavericks, one of those teams, right? Okay, I believe we can beat those teams, and you have 2 chances to win 1. That's a lot easier than you have 1 chance it's one and done, and you have to win 2 to lose 1. It's just it becomes a rough road, uphill battle. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Think we win? Think we lose? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.